Now it's time for us what we have been waiting to practice the practice meditation techniques. First, I would like to call Professor Vasantha Gunatunga to practice his, to teach us how to meditate using the technique. He has come prepared to teach us. Over to you, sir.
Okay. You have been sitting for a long time now. If you want to get up for 1 minute and then sit down, that's all right. Okay. All right. Now what I will do is I will take you through 2 rounds and then I will stop and I will also meditate with you and do as I instructed for 15 minutes. I will call you at 11:15. This is how it goes. Now you are seated comfortably. Best way of sitting is the way I sit because it is symmetrical. Now when you go further and further into meditation, there will be a point where your mind is separated from the physical body. Then the physical body should stand alone. If it is not symmetrical, it will fall off to one side. So sitting on a chair will not get that luxury to you, leaving your physical body alone from the mind. Try to sit like this, even if you don't sit, are not sitting like this now, that is all right, but you can practice at home. Okay, we'll start from the top of the head. Now you close your eyes and close your mouth. This is all in mind, and keep your left hand on your lap and right hand on your left palm. I will tell you the verse again. Sielu sattvayo nirogi vettva niduk vettva suwapat vettva ellorum nalamahum impamahum amidiyahum irupmaha. May all be well, happy and peaceful. I will use the English language for everybody's comfort. Okay, take your mind to the top of the head. Taking a little circle on the top of the head, you contemplate in your mind, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Now you come to the right arm, the upper part. May all be well, happy and peaceful. Front of the chest, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Left upper arm, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Now you go to the right leg, the thigh area. May all be well, happy and peaceful. Left leg, may all be well, happy and peaceful. You come back to the top of the head. May all be well, happy and peaceful. Right arm, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Front of the chest, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Left arm, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Right leg, may all be well, happy and peaceful. Left leg, May all be well, happy and peaceful. Back to the top of the head. May all be well, happy and peaceful. You continue like that till I call you in 15 minutes. Okay, very good. Open your eyes now. Very good. Now this is the basic training. This has to be part of your lifestyle. Start doing this twice a day, in the morning and in the evening. Gradually build up your time. Now we did it for 15 minutes, and do it for 2-3 weeks, and then increase it to 20 minutes, and then you will slowly develop. If you can bring it up 1 hour at a stretch, it completes a cycle. And then during that 1 hour, you will go through a lot of things, which you will find answers yourselves in time to come. And we will have this discussion in future also with the leadership of Madam Deans and Dr. Dilshan. And then we can discuss these matters. Okay, thank you.
Many thanks, Professor Vasantha, for teaching us the body scanning technique. I will now hand over the session to Professor Irandati to teach us the breath meditation technique.
You want to get up a little bit and sit down again, or are you okay? Okay. Okay, so I'm going to talk a little bit about a kind of breath meditation. I'm sure you all must have heard of those who are Buddhists. Anapanasati, that means you are concentrating on your breath, and that's the shortest path to concentration. Like Professor Vasantha mentioned, to separate your body and mind, and to know that your body really doesn't exist. The shortest path is to concentration of your breath, because it does not involve any thoughts, right? So, but there are certain people who cannot concentrate on your breath, and normally you are supposed to concentrate on your nose tip, the end of your nostrils, and feel the breath that is moving in and moving out there. But if you are not able to do that, there is another good entry point, which is in Sinhala we call it Pimbima and Hakilima. There what you do is you first you put your both hands in your abdomen on either side of your navel or belly button region, so that you will hold it like this. And when you close your eyes, and then you have to take a slow, deep breath in. Then you can feel your abdomen filling up. And now if you start it with your fingertips, mid fingertips touching each other, when the abdomen filled with air, the fingertips move apart, right? Then you have to exhale long, a deep exhalation. Then it should be deeper than what you inhale. Then your fingertips come back in touch with each other again. So if you can concentrate on that, I mean, you don't have to exert yourself unnecessarily. A slow, deep breath. Breathe in. Then you feel your fingertips moving apart. Stay for a second. And then you breathe out. In a longer exhalation, you feel your fingertips getting in touch with each other again. Slow, deep breath in, fingertips being apart, and then exhalation, slow, deep exhalation. Your fingertips getting in touch with each other again. So this is a good entry point towards Anapanasati, I think, because it helps you concentrate better. And I don't know if James wants to give it in Tamil or, sorry, I would like him to explain it in Tamil.
உங்களின் கைகளை உங்கள் வயிற்றுப்புறத்தின் இரு பகுதியில் வைக்கவும். உங்கள் தொப்புளை சுற்றி இருக்கும் பகுதியில் உங்கள் கைவிரல்களின் நுனி முட்டுமாறு வைக்கவும். நீங்கள் பெருமூச்சை உள்ளெடுக்கும் போது உங்கள் கைவிரல்கள் முட்டும் என்பதை நீங்கள் உணர்வீர்கள். அப்போதே பெருமளவில் மூச்சை வெளியேற்றும் போது கைவிரல்கள் ஒவ்வொன்றை ஒன்று தள்ளி செல்லும். இம்முறையில் தொடர்ந்து செய்யவும். இதுவே சுவாச தியானம் ஆகும்.
Thank you. අපි මේ belly breathing එහෙම නැත්නම් abdominal breathing කියලා ඉංග්‍රීසියෙන් කියන පිම්බීම හැකිලිම කියලා භාවනා ක්‍රමයක් තියෙනවා. ආනාපාන සතිය කරන්න ඔබට අපහසු නම් මේක ප්‍රවේශයක් විදිහට සලකන්න පුළුවන්. හිමින් ආශ්වාස කරනවා. ඔබට ඕනනම් 3ට විතර ගණනලා ආශ්වාස කරන්න පුළුවන්. එතකොට ඔබට දැනෙනවා ඔබේ උදර ප්‍රදේශය පිම්බෙනවා. එතකොට ඔබ එක ළඟ ඇඟිලි තුඩු තබාගෙන පටන් ගත්තොත් ඒ ඇඟිලි තුඩු මැදින් මැද ඈත් වෙනවා ඔබට දැනෙනවා. ඊට පස්සේ හිමින් ප්‍රාශ්වාස කරනවා. ආශ්වාසයට වඩා දිගු ප්‍රාශ්වාසයක්. එතකොට ඔබට දැනෙනවා ඔබේ ඇඟිලි තුඩු නැවත එකිනෙකට ලං වෙනවා. මේක ගොඩාක් උදව් වෙනවා. විශේෂයෙන්ම ඔබේ ශරීරයට ඔක්සිජන් අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ වගේම මේ රුධිර පීඩනය පාලනය කරන්න ඒ වගේ දේවල් වලට ඒ වගේම හුස්ම ගැනීම අපහසු තියෙන තැන් අවස්ථාවලදී එහෙම මේ ටෙක්නික් එක ගොඩක් උදව් වෙන්න පුළුවන්. ඒක නිසා අපි දැන් විනාඩි 10ක් පමණ මේ breathing technique එක පටන් ගනිමු. දැන් පටන් ගන්න S2 පියාගෙන ඒ වගේම ශරීරයේ කෙලින් තිබීම අවශ්‍යයි. breathing techniques වලදී ඔබේ ශරීරයේ ඍජු බව අවශ්‍යයි. මේක ගොඩාක් හොඳින් කරන්න පුළුවන් තනිකර සැතපීලත් කිසිම කොට්ටයකින් තොරව ඔබ උදේ නැගිට්ටම ඇඳේ නිදාගෙන මේ දේ කරන්න පුළුවන්. හරියම සැහැල්ලුවෙන් හරිම රිලැක්සිං. ඒක අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම ඔබට හොඳයි සෞඛ්‍යයටත්. ආනාපාන සතියත් අවශ්‍යතාවයේ ඉරෙක්ට් පොස්චර් එක කෙලින් කඳ ඍජුව තබා ගැනීම පුටුවක හිටියත් ඇඳේ හාන්සි වුණත් ඍජු බව අවශ්‍යයි. ඒ අනුව දැන් පටන් ගන්න. Concentrate on your fingertips. I think it should be enough. We did it for 10 minutes. If you can practice this at least 5 minutes a day to start with, it will be good for your concentration plus health too. Thank you.
Many thanks to you, Professor Anthi. With that, we conclude the hands-on experience on meditation. I'll hand over the sessions to Kumarangi, James and Chamila.
බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි අපගේ විද්වත් මණ්ඩලයේ සියලුම දෙනාට. මීළඟට ඇත්තේ භාවනාව හා සම්බන්ධව පැන නැගී ඇති ගැටලු निराකරණයට වෙනව ඇති කාලයයි. කොළඹ වෛද්‍ය පීඨයේ සායනික වෛද්‍යාංශයේ මහාචාර්ය සරෝජ් ජයසිංහ මැතිතුමා සහ කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ ජෛව රසායන විද්‍යා, අණුක ජීව විද්‍යා සහ ජෛව තාක්ෂණ අංශයේ අධ්‍යක්ෂිකා මහාචාර්ය ශිරෝමා හඳුන්වති මැතිණිය විසින් මෙම අංගය මෙහෙවනු ලබයි.
மிக்க நன்றி. இப்போது எங்கள் மனதில் உள்ள பல கேள்விகளுக்கு விடைகள் காண்பதற்கான நேரம் வந்துவிட்டது. மானிட மருத்துவத்துறையில் கொழும்பு பல்கலைக்கழக மருத்துவ பீட பேராசிரியருமான சரோஜ் ஜெயசிங்க அவர்களையும் கொழும்பு பல்கலைக்கழக பேராசிரியரும் IBMBB பணிப்பாளருமாகிய ஷிரோமா ஹந்துன்னெட்டி அவர்களையும் இதனை வழிநடத்துமாறு அழைக்கிறேன். உங்களுக்கு வினாக்கள் இருக்குமெனில் தயவு செய்து உங்கள் கைகளை உயர்த்தவும். நேரடியாக உள்ளவர்களிடம் மைக் கொடுக்கப்படும். நேரலை மூலம் தொடர்பு கொள்பவர்கள் வினாக்கள் இருப்பினும் chat பாக்ஸை பாவித்து உங்கள் வினாக்களை எழுப்பலாம். நன்றி.
Thank you very much for enlightening us. I'm sure all of us could embrace the tranquility and peace of mind that we experience during meditation. All of you must be having a lot of questions. And now it's the time to get the answers. May I kindly invite Professor Saroj Jayasinghe, Professor of Medicine and Founder Head of Department of Medical Humanities of Faculty of Medicine, University of Colombo, and Professor Shiroma Handunnetti, Director of the Institute of Biochemistry, Molecular Biology and Biotechnology, University of Colombo, to moderate the session. Please raise your hand if you have any questions, and Kaushalya, Nirodhi or Sanduni will come to you with the microphone. For those who are joining online, please use the chat box to write your questions for the Q&A session. We will direct the questions to the panel. Thank you.
Thank you very much. With permission, both of us will be seated and try to moderate this session. Professor Shiroma and myself. Any questions from the audience here? Any questions? Yes, we've got one question. Whom do you want to direct it to?
Madam, I do meditation at home daily, but it's a different type of meditation. So this, I think there will be an assessment after some time. So is it okay to practice these two types of meditation that you all taught, Professor Gunatunga and you, along with the other type of meditation?
It is okay. I mean, better to practice one type at one kind of one technique at a time, and so you can practice it alternatively, and you can choose you can choose what is the best for you. It's okay. Yeah. And also, I appreciate what Professor Vasantha mentioned to you. Before any kind of meditation, like Anapanasati is like killing single point killing, you have to fully concentrate on it. But before that, you need to have proper background. Like I said in my presentation, compassion is very important, to have a relaxed mind. So it's always better to start with Maitri or compassion, loving kindness meditation. so that your mind will be relaxed and it's ready for any other kind of technique as well. So
The kind of meditation I practice is the Jyoti meditation. So when it comes to the heart, it becomes love. That is the unconditional love that is equal to Maitri.
Yes.
And then I radiate it.
Yes.
Radiate it. So after that, I can practice these two concentration
Yes,
types.
yes, yes.
Thank you.
So you start from broad, then you are narrowing it down towards single pointedness. Yes. Yeah.
May I ask a question from Prof. Vasantha? Why can't some people meditate? Find it difficult to meditate?
Okay, it's a good question. This ability to meditate or need to meditate is not equal in everybody, because each individual is different from each other. Even identical twins are different in their minds, even if they're the same genetically. So to go a little further, now the mind that we get into our physical body is not a mind that is born in this birth. It is transmigrating. You can believe it or not believe it. And I told you earlier that none of these things you don't have to believe, but you have to see for yourself. And then at the beginning, no one is equal. So our wants and needs and our level of practice are different. So somebody may want to find the real eudaimonic joy or health in life, that is the meaning of life. Somebody else may not need it. And some of them are continuously keeping happy for a long period of time. Some of them are fluctuating in their mood, and some of them are low. Even if it is so, that is one variable, and the other variable is wanting to be calm and quiet and have some wisdom. So those who are two variables, those who want to have some kind of a samadhi or relaxation response, some kind of understanding as to what myself is, that need is different in different people. So those who have that need strongly will meditate better than other people. That is the answer. That is enough for you.
Yeah. Thank you very much. Any other questions? Yes. Now, while the mic is going on, I think we should not waste time. So let the mic go on. Any particular time, how many during the day which you must meditate?
Yeah, best is in the morning. When you get up, your mind is generally free if the sleep is good. Then you start, then you do it better. And if you get used to it, you will feel the need to meditate every time that you get up in the morning. Then it is easy. In the evening, after your work, after taking wash, having a cup of tea, you feel a bit relaxed, and that is also a better time. Other than that, any time is a good time.
Okay, Madam Vice Chancellor, please. Yes.
In addition to the electro measurements, are you measuring any biochemical parameters such as serotonin?
Yes. Yes, we are looking at immunological as well as neurochemical parameters. James is the one who is doing the PhD on that. So just
prominent enhancement of serotonin during the meditation.
Now other scientists, they have now serotonin is a neurochemical which is related to happiness, and some research have shown there is an increased level of serotonin in some people who are practicing long-term meditation, but the results are inconclusive. There are changes in other neurochemicals such as dopamine, acetylcholine, but the results are not conclusive yet. But it's good to look at it to see whether we have neurochemical changes as well. And James is on it.
Thank you.
Yes, Prof. Chandra.
I don't know whether this is a correct place for me to ask this question, but it's about we have an aging population and we have dementia. And that is, we believe, the loss of control of your mind or unawareness. People who have dementia seem to be happy. I mean, I'm not saying everyone, but overall, they are very detached and they are leading their own, in their own world, or as it were. Do you have any kind of answer to that?
Yeah, I think dementia, what we lose is memory, mostly memory with other things. Now, if the mind is a person's mind that has been trained, will not need much memory. And then even if the memory is not there, he'll be okay. And there's another person who has a lot of connections and used to be connected very well, having big myself, will need a lot of memory to connect and deal with people and to memorize past things. And then he'll be in serious distress when the memory is not supporting his mind. So a person who has meditated for a long time will not suffer from dementia from the memory loss. There may be other things also, emotional component there. Now, regarding the serotonin question, now a person who is depressed will have a lot of clutter. Those are thoughts. So if somebody who has trained himself to let go of these thoughts, will be better off even if he's having depression. So that is, now it is in other science in the Western world and in Sri Lanka also, they have found that remission can be maintained if somebody has meditated. So the same effect.
There is a question from the, I think, online participants. The question is, how frequently has to do this? Is meditation has to do with empty stomach? So,
I don't think you have to do it empty stomach, because I mean, if you are too full, of course you cannot do meditation. Always the middle path. Even Lord Buddha has mentioned about the middle path. So you shouldn't do it with hunger or an empty stomach. But in the morning when you wake up, of course your stomach is empty, but still you don't feel hungry. And even for the kind of meditation I was talking about this abdominal breathing, morning is the best time. You will really relax. You can wake up with a relaxed body and mind if you try it even only for 5 minutes. So you don't have to do it with an empty stomach. And of course, drinking water, enough water, it helps meditation, and it does. And feeling comfortable is the most important thing. If you feel comfortable meditating on a chair, doesn't matter. If you don't feel sleepy, do it on your bed, and maybe out of the pillow. You can do Anapanasati, Pimbima Hakilim, any meditation. I think for loving kindness meditation, any posture is fine. Even and keeping this mindfulness, being mindful, you can do that always. So you can be meditating all the time if you become mindful about what you do. You have to add anything?
Can I just ask something related to that? Now, some people do walking meditation. Now, you just mentioned 2 postures, seated and even during sleep. What would you advise on that?
Walking meditation?
Yes.
It's also helpful. In meditation, sati is the important, being able to concentrate. You have to සිහිය පිහිටවනවා කියන්නේ ඒකනේ ප්‍රධානම දේ. ආනාපාන සතිය තමයි කෙටිම. ඒ වගේම ටෙක්නික් එක අපේ ප්‍රොෆෙසර් වසන්ත කියලා දීපු thoughts වලින් අඩුම ආනාපාන සති. එතකොට මේ ඒ සතිය පිහිටවන්න තවම එකක් තමයි මේ ඇවිදීමේ භාවනාවත්, walking meditation. So there you concentrate on, you raise your feet, you move it further, and then you keep it on your foot. ඔසවනවා, ගෙනියනවා, තබනවා. ඔසවනවා, ගෙනියනවා, තබනවා. So maybe even that can help you in concentration. You can do that. If Anapanasati or any other meditation technique doesn't work for you to start with, you can start by doing walking meditation, of course. Yeah.
Yes, please.
මගේ ප්‍රශ්නය ප්‍රොෆෙසර් වසන්තට ඔබ ශරීරයේ අංග 5ක් 6ක් හදවතත් එක්ක නම් කරා මේ කන්සන්ට්‍රේට් කරගෙන යන්න කියලා. ඒ අංගම තෝරගන්න විශේෂ හේතුවක් තියනවද?
ඒ කොටස් 6ද?
ඔව්.
මෙහෙමයි. ඒක එහෙම විශේෂත්වයක් නෑ. ඔක කොටස් 25 එකකුත් තියෙනවා, කොටස් 52 එකකුත් තියෙනවා. ඒක අර පාත් එකක් හදාගන්න විතරයි. දැන් හුඟක් නිතරම ප්‍රශ්නයක් තමයි ඇයි මේ පිට ගන්න නැත්තේ, කන ගන්න නැත්තේ ඒ වගේ කියලා. එහෙම අවශ්‍ය නැහැ. පාත් එකක් හදාගන්නයි ඕන. එතකොට මේ ඉක්විප්මන්ට් එක තමයි අපිට ඕන තැනක තියෙන්නේ. අපි අරගෙන යන්නේ. එතකොට ඉක්විප්මන්ට් එක තියෙනවා ඕන තැනක ගිහලා භාවනා කරන්න. රට ගියාද, ප්ලේන් එකේද, එහෙම නැත්නම් ගෙදර හිටියද, you have this equipment. එතකොට ඒක නිසා ඒ කාරණාව.
යෝගී භාවනාවලදීත් ශාරීරික කොටස් එක්ක භාවනාවක් තියෙනවානේ. යෝගී භාවනාවලදී ඒක මම දැන් ලෞකික පැත්තට යන එකක්. ඒතර පටන් ගන්නේ ශරීරයේ පහළම කොටසින්. ඇවිල්ලා ඊට ශරීරය හරියට යනවා. ඉතින් මම හිතුවා ඒ වගේ මොකක් හරි විශේෂ දෙයක් මත පදනම් වෙලාද ඒ කොටස් 6 තෝරගත්තේ කියලා.
නෑ ඒක නෙමෙයි කාරණා. ඇත්තටම දැන් අපි කලින් අහපු ප්‍රශ්නයකටත් මේක උත්තරයක් අපි මෙඩිටේට් කරන්නේ මොකටද කියන ඔබ්ජෙක්ටිව් එකක් තියෙනවනේ. දැන් සමහරු මෙඩිටේට් කරන්නේ රිලැක්ස් කරන්න. සමහරු මෙඩිටේට් කරන්නේ මයින්ඩ්ෆුල්නස් එකට. සමහරු මෙඩිටේට් කරන්නේ නිවන් දකින්න. සමහරු මෙඩිටේට් කරන්නේ වෙන හෙල්ත් රීසන්ස් වලට. ගන්න ටෙක්නික් එක ටිකක් ඩිපෙන්ඩ් වෙනවා මොකක්ද පර්පස් එක කියනවාද. ඒතර ඒ පර්පස් එක කලින් සෝට් අවුට් කරගන්න ඕනේ. ඊට පස්සේ පොඩි ඇඩ්ජස්ට්මන්ට්ස් කරන්න පුළුවන් ටෙක්නික් එක. අර යෝගාවල තියෙන ටෙක්නික් ඒක වෙනස් රීසන් එකක්. ඒක totally for physical health reasons. ඒක ටිකක් වෙනස් එක නිසා.
If I have to translate it very quickly, that is what you are saying is that you have to identify why you want to meditate, and the particular scanning protocol or the method really doesn't matter, whichever way. Am I correct? Because
No.
I want to mention it to the other audience also, if you can clarify that.
No, I think certain methods will take you to one point. To go beyond, you have to have a specific method.
Good. Any other questions? There's one other question to ask the panel. Now, the commonality between these methods is that you are drawing attention to a physical sensation or a thought. Is that the important thing in your meditation techniques?
There are basically two methods in these. One is one-pointedness. The other, the body scan is, it is not one-pointed. It is moving. While moving, you keep the mind non-attached. Now, one issue with, this is my personal experience and based on text. Now, if you meditate, then move your mind along the body, creating a path that is non-attached. Mind is not attached even to the object of meditation. And if you, going back to the origin of what I say, ධම්සක්පවතුන් සූත්‍රයේ දේශනා කළාට පස්සේ 69ක් රහත් වුණා. එහෙනම් ඒකේ තියෙන්න ඕන ඔක්කොම ටික. You have to study a sutra. This is a chronological sequencing. If you are to separate your mind from the body, while the body is being worked, it is hard to do. It may be taking to one step, but beyond that, you have to stay still so that body is totally still and it is not doing any work. Then only the requirement of the mind to connect with the body is gone. Otherwise, all the time the body is giving information, position sense, vibration sense, touch, pain, and the body is moving. All these are very busy. So sitting will take you, remove that effect.
There are some questions, I think, from the online participants. If I can forward them to the panel. One question is like, for the beginners, it's generally difficult. So what kind of advice would you give to the beginners, to sit down and, spend time, your mind deviates, you might fall asleep, there are few things at the beginners.
Okay, I would suggest if you cannot concentrate, simply be an observer of your mind. Simply close your eyes and be an observer of your mind. Then you will realize when some thought comes. Then you will realize it exists only at that moment. In the next moment, that thought is gone. Then another one will come, right? Then you will realize the impermanence of those thoughts. So if when you do meditation, you can simply look at your thought, your mind, and be an observer of it. Whatever that comes to your mind, think, mekat anityai attarino. Just let go of whatever that comes to your mind. Then it will reach an emptiness. That will help.
Thank you. I think there's a question from the audience.
I have come across two types of meditation. Purpose of that was mindfulness. While we were meditating, we had to inhale with the nose and exhale with the mouth. But today we were told to close our mouths and inhale and exhale with same nose. So is there any difference? And what is the reason for that difference? Exhaling with mouth and nose. That is my question.
It doesn't matter actually as far as you can concentrate on your breath. But here I was telling some people cannot focus on the nostrils. It's hard for them to feel the breath there. For those people, rather than feeling the breath, maybe here it's like more deep breath, abdominal breathing. And in that you can feel again your breath with the movement of the abdomen and movement of your fingers along with that. So you are concentrating on your breath indirectly by concentrating on your fingers there. Okay.
So thank you, madam.
I think there is another question from an online participant related to that. සිංහලෙන් මේක අහලා තියෙන්නේ අපි වෙනම භාවනාවක් කරන්න ඕනද කියලා අහනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් අපි කරන ඕනම දෙයක් සිහියෙන් කරෝතින් ඒකත් භාවනාවක් විදියට සලකන්න පුළුවන්ද? සහ එහෙම නැත්නම් භාවනාව දැන් අපි දැන් උගන්වපු විදියට කරෝතින් වැඩිපුර ප්‍රතිඵලයක් ලැබෙනවද කියලා.
ඒකට ආන්සර් එක හරි සිම්පල්. අපි ඉපදිලා තියෙනවා certain level of concentration, mindfulness එකක් එක්ක. ඒ තරමට අපිට කරගෙන යන්න පුළුවන්. කොච්චර කිව්වත් සමහර වෙලාවට අපිට concentrate කරන්න කිව්වට අපි try කරනවා ඒ අපිට තියෙන concentration එක තමයි වෙන්නේ. හැබැයි train කළොත් you do better. Simple as that.
So ඒ training එක ගන්න තමයි අපි මේ වාඩි වෙලා වෙන අනිත් ඒවා ලයින් කරලා කරන්න කියන එක තමයි message එකනේ.
ඔව් ඒකයි දැන් තව පැත්තක් තියෙනවා දැන් meditation කියන එක දැන් මේ thinking එක පටන් ගත්තට thinking නෙමෙයි ඒක. පාලියෙන් කියන මේකට අචින්තය ධර්ම කියලා. හිතලා විසඳන්න බැරි ප්‍රශ්න ඒවා. ඒක තමයි අනිත් පැරඩයිම් එක. ඉතින් ඒකට යන්න බෑ, ඒක මට සාකච්ඡා කරන්න බෑ එතෙන්ට ඔබ යනකම්. ගියාට පස්සේ then it is parallel experience that we are talking about. The language is very little used. මේකෙන් පටන් අර එතට යන්න පුළුවන්. ගියාට පස්සේ then you are on, you can discuss that.
To have deep realization, you need to have meditation. Yeah.
There's one more question from the online participant. How to use meditation technique to understand the intuition and mental attachments?
To intuition?
Intuition and mental attachment. That's how the question is posed.
I think mainly to understand some people have intuition, so relating to that. How
Yeah,
can the meditation techniques be
Yeah,
used to
intuition is that
understand
the term intuition may be used for something like පාරමිතා වලට ඒකද දන්න එයා කියන්නේ that you have an intuition to meditate or intuition that somebody is having a more peaceful mind. You said that I have intuition. ඉව වගේ එතකොට මට හරියට ප්‍රශ්න තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ මොකක්ද එයා අහන්නේ කියලා.
මටත් හරියට තේරෙන්නේ නැහැ. It's just worded here. Jeevani has forwarded it to me. දැන් සමහර අයට මම හිතන්නේ intuition තියෙනවනේ. දැන් ඒක සමහරවිට අපි ඒක හොඳ පැත්තකට පාවිච්චි කරන්න පුළුවන්. ඒකෙන් තව ටිකක් ඉස්සරහට යන්න දැන I'm just interpreting the
හරි හරි අර එඩ්ගා කේස් එකේ කතාව වගේ එකක් වෙන්නේ නැතිව අහන්න. ඒ කියන්නේ සමහරක් අයට තියෙනවා transmigrating mind කියලා කියවනේ. එතකොට certain skills තියෙනවා mind එකේ. ඒ skill එක transfer වෙනවා. But not the memory. එතකොට ඒ skill එක හින්දා he will capture a particular area of knowledge that other people won't easily capture. Then he has a wealth of knowledge in one area which other people cannot even think of. එතකොට he is a genius in that area. That is how it happens. So that intuition is the intuition that other people don't have.
Yeah. Whether it will, if someone has certain tendency for intuition, some people are born with it, and ඒක වැඩි වෙයිද භාවනා කරනකොට ඒ capacity එක වැඩි වෙන්න tendency එකක් තියෙනවද? එහෙම අහනවත් වෙන්න පුළුවන්.
මෙහෙමයි. දැන් භාවනාව කරන purpose එක අනුව තමයි ඒක වෙන භාවනාව කරන්නේ to let go. If you are letting go your memory, your physical body, your external body, everything to be free from all this clutter. Then you are not left with anything. But when you do that, you are charged with some other understanding, which people call wisdom, of what myself is made of. And why is this perpetuating? Why we are getting so many thoughts, one after the other, cannot stop. And once we stop, how I feel. And the method. Those are the wisdom that they get, devoid of knowledge. This is not knowledge. This is real phenomenological experience. With that comes that freedom from clutter.
I would like to throw this question to any member of the panel. I am a guy diagnosed with a unusual rhythm of my heartbeat, and by that a device is implanted, an ICD. So that in fact the ICD produces an electrical impulse when there is a VT. And I really love these two types of meditation, Anapanasati and the one that Professor Gunatunga explained. What can there be a significant effect by practicing these two types of meditation to this unusual rhythm of my heartbeat?
Okay, Sunil, I know your heart as much as you know your heart. Whatever the method you use, when you meditate, initially there may be a little hiccups, but when you get used to it, your oxygen need will go down. Then the heart will start relaxing. It will easy for the heart to pump less blood and give less amount of oxygen, because body requires less amount. Then even if your EF is little low, that is all right. And then your mind will be cooler and you are not entertaining unnecessary thoughts. So it will reduce the oxygen consumption of the brain. And if you are sitting in one place and meditating, your oxygen consumption in other part of the body will also come down. So it will ease out the function of the heart. So the rhythm will remain, your rhythm is okay. And then I think whatever the method you use, if you use it, and if you are incorporating it into a lifestyle, that will definitely help.
If I may add, there could be a pathway through the sympathetics, because when you're relaxed, when you're meditating, your sympathetics would be less, and this whole thing about the vagal response coming up.
Yes, sir. I was going to say that. It's too early to say whether meditation can correct arrhythmias that you have. But research has shown, and anyway, as Professor Vasantha explained, sympathetic overactivation will be reduced, and you will have more activation of the other pathway called parasympathetic nervous system, which slows down the heart and brings your blood pressure down. But still, I think you have to follow your medical advice in relation to arrhythmia while practicing your meditation, because both will help you.
Can I add something? Yes, actually, I got viral myocarditis in 2015 because I was teaching with my viral infections. At the end, it went to my heart and I died. Basically, I died. My husband thought I was dead, but my heart was working like 20% EF, right? So then for me to get back my life, it took nearly 6 months. So I was treated by Dr. Chandrika Ponnambiro. There was a big team taking care of me at Lanka hospitals. So then when I came back home, I was thinking, because I was feeling so lifeless, doctors asked me to walk for 10 minutes a day. I couldn't even walk for 5 minutes because I was so weak. So then there was a good friend of mine. Actually, I didn't want to meditate like that because when you're weak, I didn't want to do that. Then one of my friends, he said, I will give you a healing from far. So he gave me the healing. I didn't feel anything. So I was thinking, why shouldn't I use my own practice or my own energy, whatever I have mentally? So I was always doing Anapanasati, like single pointedness. That was my aim from the beginning. So I thought, why shouldn't I spread compassion to myself? Because I can concentrate well. So from my top to bottom, I concentrated Swapatvetva, Swapatvetva, Swapatvetva. That night, something went away from my heart or something. So I was experiencing arrhythmia, all sorts of things were there in my reports. I could get rid of that night. I was fine after that. So if you can simply spread compassion, because before that, even when I used to meditate, I spread love to the others, not to myself. But it's important sometimes to spread love to yourself as well. It can help you. Relax with a relaxed mind, with a relaxed body. It might help. Yeah.
Any other questions? I have another question. How do you prevent people from falling asleep when you meditate? Because that's a common experience.
Okay.
That's a common experience.
So I think it depends on the person as well. Just like Professor Vasantha mentioned, it depends on probably what you have brought from your previous birth or anything. I can meditate even lying down. I don't feel sleepy at all. But some people, of course, they feel sleepy. So maybe for such things, maybe you can do I don't know if you do in Buddhanusati, when you meditate in Buddhism, you have to have 5 things: Shraddha, Sati, Samadhi, Prajna, Virya. You have to have Virya, effort to do that as well. So if you from Arahang, like that, you go to Bhagava, then start from back to Arahant. So you are concentrating in that cycle. Maybe it won't let you fall asleep because you are counting on that thing. So that's some explanation I can give. Do you have anything to add?
Sleep is, there are two things. One thing is an outsider may see you like sleeping when you are like this. But some people are actually not sleeping because if you are, there's imbalance in your tone. When you are relaxing, usually the front side tone is better than back side because people don't exercise much to the back and you fall like that, but they are meditating. Some people are actually falling asleep. That is actually a beginner's problem. Even if you fall asleep, you continue to meditate. After some time, you wake up and meditate again. But that thing will, you get over that fairly quickly. And when you get used to meditating, difficult time like after lunch, like there was a question earlier, you don't meditate empty stomach usually. It is not a good thing because you need to let the body suffer. This is not for making yourself suffer, to get out of suffer. So you have your meal or dane or a reasonable one. And it doesn't matter what you eat something palatable that you can eat, you used to eat, and then you get on with meditation. And if you meditate regularly, the sleeping issue will be sorted.
There is one specific question. Is there a suitable time slot to meditate in the morning, like 4 a.m., like early morning? This is from an online participant.
It doesn't matter. Whatever time is good for you. When I started meditation, somehow I wake up at 3 o'clock in the morning, I keep meditating for hours. So it doesn't matter. Maybe your body will tell this is the time. So it doesn't matter. The time wouldn't matter. As you all know, Lord Buddha slept only for 2 hours, So, it doesn't matter.
It may be suitable for to your personality, I suppose.
Yes.
And something which I thought, like the posture and why people fall asleep and how can you get over that. Sometimes certain teachers advise, like before you sit, if you do a little bit of walking meditation and then sit, what do you all think about that?
Yes, that's good. Yeah.
Thank you.
Asantha, you spoke about the mind and the clutter. The clutter, yes. Is it audible clutter or visual clutter or both?
Actually, now the inputs are from 5 sensor input devices. In the memory, they are in the form of either visuals or auditory or touch, gustatory. Anything can come when you close your eyes and, in relation to your 5 sensor input devices. Salayatana. But that is in the memory. It is not right now. Something that has happened earlier. And these things come continuously. It's actually torment at one point, and some people enjoy it, fantasizing. But at the end of enjoyment, when you lose it, you can't get out. Problem is you can't get out of it. So to do that, you need to train your mind.
There is one long question from an online participant. While trying to concentrate during meditation, after a while, sometimes mind reaches a kind of very relaxed but not very focused state. In that state, sometimes good ideas pop up. For example, research ideas for problem we try to tackle. Is it good or bad to let these thoughts remain, or should we try to suppress them and reach a focused mind? Are there risks in meditation? ගොඩක් තින් කියලා තියෙනවා. That will be a common thing, like very good ideas come when your mind says. So what is your advice?
That is actually very true. When the mind is at peace, the ideas that you get, you can think very clearly. But again, you go back to square one. Because these are all mundane stuff that you are planning to do something. But you can do that better. That is one side advantage of meditating. You can sidetrack and, be very peaceful and enjoying the sidetrack. And then you get stuck there. Your meditation will not progress. You have to let go of that. You can't, if that is your motive to do a better research, then you can stay at that point and think about that, but you fall back slowly. You cannot maintain that level of concentration. I think you are meditating mostly for something else, not to have a better idea of something else. So you let go that and continue.
Yourself to say, rather than just throwing it out.
Just let go the thought.
Yeah.
Don't concentrate. You don't think about it. Just let go.
මේකයි අනිත්‍යයි කියලා අත්තන්න. That's it.
Now, during this period of COVID, there's a lot of stress faced by students and staff and other people. What's your advice in relation to meditation?
So mindfulness is the answer, being mindful of whatever you do. So if you are being mindful, when you leave, you will remember to take your mask. And when you touch a doorknob, you will remember, okay, I'm touching the doorknob. I have to use the sanitizer next. So you will be more mindful. Actually, this is a good time for you to practice mindfulness. හැමදේම සිහියෙන් කරන්න. So if you touch a doorknob, somebody else might have touched it, so I have to use my hand sanitizer. So in everything, this is the good time to practice mindfulness, I think. In whatever action you do, keeping distance, that's something our people forget all the time. You go to these supermarkets, they want to get together all the time. So you have to be mindful. I have to keep the distance. And you can even ask the other person, please keep distance like that. So this is a good time to practice mindfulness.
This is another question.
Just to add to one thing, now when somebody is meditating, he will start preferring seclusion. So one problem being at home is that difficult to be at home, alone without doing anything like that. So if you are used to meditate, that is an opportunity.
Yes.
So you meditate more, you have more time, you love seclusion, you don't enjoy, meeting people all that much. When you are having a meeting or conference, you do that, fine. But unnecessary meeting and unnecessary gossip, you start disliking. Then this is a nice environment for you, the good old environment given back. So you can improve further.
Okay. Another question from the online participant. I have constant headaches due to an overload of thoughts. I was wondering if meditation can help with that. If so, how long will it be until I can see results of meditation on reducing those headaches?
Headache due to what at the beginning?
Due to overload of thoughts.
Overload of?
Thoughts.
Thoughts. Okay, then, if it is a headache, then first thing I advise you to see a doctor and get some advice, because headache can be due to many reasons. And if it is not due to a physical illness, then, I don't advise starting meditation when there's a illness. It is not a good time to start. So that has to be sorted out. If there's no issue, then taking some paracetamol and making yourself comfortable, and then start. Halfway, you can manage these aches and pains with meditation. But we have to always be careful with our illnesses. We have a whole physical body that is, aging and having illnesses. And so we have to see a doctor if there's a physical illness.
Any other questions? Can you practice meditation at any place at any time, or is there a particular time you want? Is there a particular posture? Is there a particular preparation?
Actually, it's good to do meditation at a nice, peaceful place because you are going to, like I said, you are going to cultivate your mind, let it grow. So once you close your eyes, if you are an experienced meditator, the place wouldn't mind. But for a novice, for someone beginning, I would say a good place, when you go to a temple or any other religious, it makes you feel more comfortable, calm enough to start meditation. Even at home in front of your shrine after worshipping, you will have a better mindset. So then you can start your meditation actually. So having a peaceful environment would help in meditating. Yeah.
Posture-wise, is there?
Posture-wise, like I said, for breath, when you concentrate on your breath for Anapanasati and any other breathing technique, erect posture is essential. You have to keep your back straight. So it doesn't matter even if you are seated on a chair, it has to be straight. And lying down without a pillow, so it will be completely straight. So erect body posture is important for like loving kindness and other types of meditation. I don't think the posture would matter much, right? Okay, yeah. But if you're concentrating, of course, like you said, it will help. Yeah.
Would meditation help a person to sort of reduce the unwanted body fat and energy or anything like that? Now, when you compare going to a gym, the intention is to burn unwanted energy and fat and all. And now that it has become a fashion to go to a gym or to go on a walking path or so on, like instead of meditating. So would that meditation help a person to reduce your unwanted energy or sort of?
It is like this now. You can't replace meditation with physical exercise. Both is required. Both are required. But indirectly, when you meditate with that, your desire will be reduced. So when the desire is reduced, what you eat, you can easily choose. Now the problem is people can't choose what they eat because when there's ice cream, you feel like eating that. When there's some other fruit and nut, you feel like eating that also. But when you meditate, you can control that desire. Then you will eat less. And for many foods, it is like that. And that will definitely help to bring down your weight and also to control diseases like diabetes. Diabetes, diet-related problem. So people can't control diabetes because their diet pattern cannot be managed because of the desire. So when the desire is less, you manage your diabetes well, you manage your diet well so that it will become healthier. If you go to a gym, I think good to continue that. That is for, you need to work out physically also for, other effects.
So what you are saying is there will be some indirect effects.
Sorry?
There will be some indirect effects.
Yes, definitely.
There is one, I don't know, thought or expression or something like that from an online participant. While trying to concentrate during meditation, after a while, sometimes mind reaches a kind of relax, kind of very relaxed. But කියලා නවත්තලා තියෙනවා. So I don't know what the question really was going at. Maybe what you should do or what should you expect after that? Would you like to elaborate?
Should I ask? Sure. Yes, it happens. Now we have this may all be well, happy and peaceful verse. When you practice that, after some time, you don't need that verse. And your loving kindness is charged and you move your mind around your body. After some time, you don't need that also. then you have come to a state where you don't have thoughts. You don't feel much of your physical body or outer environment. Then you may wonder what to do now. That is the time that the ඥානං උදපාදි කියන්නේ ඥානය, wisdom. That is not thinking. Thinking and this other side, we should be able to differentiate. I'm not going to differentiate now because you need to be more experienced in your meditation to understand that. That is the time that you can work out how this various Dhamma, Karna, how mind will work in a non-attached situation and how it will work in an attached situation. For example, when you go home, your little son who is 9 years old has climbed up to a papaw tree, which is tall and it is like this now, papaw tree. And you are, hearing now, you have to bring down this boy back. But next day when you go home, the boy of the next house is climbed onto the same papaw tree, but you are not bothered because it is not your son. Like that, you have an attachment to your child and not attached to somebody else's child. Now this attachment and non-attachment, how it works now in the meditation time. Now what? I was going home. My son was in the papaw tree and I was worried. And next day the other child was there, but I was not so worried, but not so much. How does it happen? Then that is the time that you work out these things. Now we are calling that not thinking, but something else, wisdom related working out is that now thinking process has 5 components in that. Rupa, Vedana, Sanya, Sankara, Vijnana. Now at Rupa, Vedana, Sanya is recognizing that information. And then you value add, that is Sankara. When you value add, it goes and automatically deposit in your memory bank. And you stop this process at Sanya level. And when you stop at that thought won't be completed as a thought and won't get registered with some attachment in the memory. That is where workout in the meditation and move backwards slowly later. So it is not a completed thought. The thought process is broken there. And then it is a completely different knowledge base then. I would say epistemologically the other half, which we don't tap, completely left. This is where we deal with end-of-life decisions, do not resuscitate decisions, mental well-being among normal people, like that, those things.
We can accommodate one more question, approaching 12:30. If there's no other questions, I'm going to ask a question. That is, you have described different techniques. Do they have the same effect on the meditator?
Not the same effects, but there's a lot of overlap. So which effect you want will depend on the discussion next.
Thank you. Any other questions?
One last question. Religious places with loudspeakers are not conducive for meditation. It's a statement. I would like to agree because I live on a particular road which has a particular religious organization which says a lot of things. Me personally, how I say, I would consider that as an alarm for different times. And at that time, it's really terrible. Say you are having a Zoom meeting or whatever. At that particular time, my dog also howls to align with that. So for about good 2 minutes, I have to stop work. But I have now come to terms with that and I say, okay, I do not get disturbed by that and I just go on. So I don't know. So it's just a statement. This is my view.
One more final question. Yes.
Yeah. Actually, it's not a question. I just want to share the things what I know about this. Actually, I have come across with two martial artists, and they were also meditators. And one of them told me that he is able to control his dreams. Actually, because of this meditation and martial arts, that he has got the powers to control the subconscious mind. So that now I don't know whether it's true or not. And he has told me that he can control the dreams, unwanted dreams coming while we are sleeping. And also, we have learned in Faculty of Science, there's a course, Biological Psychology. In that course, we have learned that not the body can control the mind, but the mind can control the body. But intellectual conflictions, still there are conflictions about these thoughts between biologists and researchers. But still, I have belief in that mind can control the body, and also hypnosis or hypnotism, that also come in that side. I'm so fascinated about this field. I have no any practical knowledge, but I have read several things, and I like this field. So I wanted to share. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we are almost up to time. Any final comments by the panel, please?
Shall I say something? This is a science. This is a science of different nature. One cannot find evidence for somebody else. You have to find your own evidence in this science. One can train you to find your own evidence. So we are now embarked on this different science that is actually essential for medicine, for any other discipline that we have. And we have not tapped this other half of which I say other epistemological half. We have this cognitive side that we deal with our sensory organs and working out and then producing new thoughts and new ideas. But this supramundane or metacognitive side of the epistemological spectrum, we have not tapped. That is one entire university. So I invite you to try this, and this is very fascinating, very relaxing, and very enjoyable, highly intellectual. I invite you to continue with that, try and make a good meditating community having this side of the science in the University of Colombo.
Thank you very much. Erandi, any final points?
Yes, I am with Vasanta, so I would like to request you all the same. Continue it. At least for 5 minutes a day, if you can do some meditation, it will help you and you will eventually get there. You can elaborate it further and you can extend the time further so you can reach somewhere in your meditation practice.
So on behalf of Shiroma and myself, thank you very much once again, and thank you very much for all the questions by the audience. So over to the compeers. Thank you.
බෙහෙවින්ම ස්තුතියි සහභාගී වූ ඔබ සියලුම දෙනාට. කොළඹ විශ්වවිද්‍යාලයේ භාවනා පර්යේෂණ කණ්ඩායම මගින් සංවිධානය කළ සමාරම්භක වැඩසටහනේ අවසන් අදියර වෙතයි අප දැන් එළඹ සිටින්නේ. අප කණ්ඩායමේ උපසංවිධායක ජ්‍යෙෂ්ඨ කතිකාචාර්ය ජීවනී හේරත් මැතිණිය විසින් ස්තුති කතාව පවත්වනු ඇත.
மிக்க நன்றி. இப்போது நாம் நிகழ்ச்சியின் இறுதி கட்டத்தை அடைந்து விட்டோம். இவ் அறிவு விழாவின் நிறைவாக திருமதி ஜீவனி ஹேரத் அவர்களை நன்றியுரையாற்றி இவ்விழாவை நிறைவுக்கு கொண்டு வருமாறு அழைக்கிறேன்.
Thank you very much. We have now come to the end of the inaugural session, and we would like to invite Mrs. Jeevani Herath, Deputy Coordinator of the Research Group, to deliver the vote of thanks and shed some light on the way forward.
Thank you. Vice Chancellor of University of Colombo, Senior Professor Chandrika Wijeratne, Dean Faculty of Medicine, Professor Vidya Jyoti Vajiraddi Sanayaka, academic, non-academic staff, students, ladies and gentlemen. First and foremost, I would like to thank Senior Professor Chandrika Wijeratne for persuading the research team of the Meditation, Mindfulness and Health research to prepare a program to give an opportunity to the community of University of Colombo to practice meditation. I remember Dr. Dilshani mentioning that Madam Vice Chancellor is promoting meditation in the university, especially to relieve the stress of the university community caused by COVID-19 pandemic. Therefore, it is because of you, Madam, we took the initiative to today's program. Thank you for that. I want to thank Professor Vidya Jyoti Vajiraddi Sanayaka, Dean of the Faculty of Medicine next, for his utmost support for this endeavor by always accepting whatever we propose regarding the smooth function of this program. We are very much grateful to Professor K.P. Hewagamage, Director UCSC, and academic and non-academic staff of the Institute for allowing to hold meetings in their premise and giving all the IT support. Extending heartfelt gratitude to Dr. Roshan Hewapathirana of the Faculty of Medicine and his IT team, and Dr. Dakshita Vikramasinghe and his AV team, who went through a lot of strain to telecast today's program live, and Mr. Lahiru Sandaruwan from the IT team for designing the backdrop. Mr. Layan Chaturanga of NOC did a tremendous job in a short time by designing a web page. Thank you, Mr. Layan. A big thank you to Professor Vasantha Gunatunga, Professor Irandati Lokupitiya for doing the core task of this program, and Chair Professor Saroj Jayasinghe and Professor Shiroma Handuneti for moderating the Q&A. This event would not have been effective if we did not have this auditorium. I sincerely thank Mr. Prasanna De Silva, SAR of General Administration, and his office for providing us with this facility. The Vipassana meditation provided us with meditation cushions for today's program, and they are give guidance. May the merits accumulated help the clergy, Dhamma friends, and staff to reach their ultimate goal. A special thank you to the three compeers, Dr. Kumaranga Vittanage, Mr. Thambiraja, and Dr. Chamila Dalpatadu. Today, approximately 350 participated in this program on site and online. Such a big number provided us with the motivation to gear forward. Thank you for that. Further, I want to extend the appreciation for all the ladies and gentlemen of the cleaning service who arranged this hall appropriate for meditation. Last but not least, I would like to thank Dr. Dilshani Disanayaka, Director RPFC, and the research team, including Mrs. Nilanthi De Silva and Mrs. Malkanti Fernando. Two similes come to my mind when I think of thanking them. First is that when we enter a safe and sturdy building, we feel secure there and we appreciate the building, forgetting the pillars underneath that hold such a magnificent building. Without those pillars, there will never be a safe and sturdy building. Dr. Dilshani is like those pillars, staying underneath, giving strength to the whole team. Therefore, thank you, Dr. Dilshani, for being that pillar who bears a massive weight. The second simile is a tasty slice of cake. We enjoy the tastiness, but forget that the taste is because of the combination of correct ingredients. Our research team, which is a combination of 4 faculties and 1 institute of the University of Colombo, provided the precise ingredients for today's blissful experience. So a big thank you for the research team. Well done. With that note, I would brief you the way forward, as today is not an end of a program, but a first step on the correct path towards the destination of happiness. This path will be long or short based on each individual, but assuredly, all who travel will reach the destination of happiness. This team today joined hands to provide you with all the support needed to experience that bliss. So far, we have achieved 2 targets of our initial proposal, an inaugural session and a web space. In future, we will achieve the other targets of the initial proposal, which includes monthly day retreats, which will commence from January 2021. While thank you all once again, I kindly remind you to return the filled Google form, which is circulated to you. May you all get into the habit of meditation. Thank you.